What's up, y'all? This is Ty. I am here to review Season 4, Episode 3 of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. And the episode is titled Bygones. I know it's a long title, Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. Bygones. All right. But before I do that, you know what I got to do. I got to give a shout out to my lovely subscribers. Y'all hold me down in the comment section. Y'all keeping this channel going and growing. I do appreciate that. So shout outs to Simply Be Yourself 100. What's up? How you doing? Simply Be Yourself 100. June BLC. Tayon's World. Oh Boogie Baby. The R.C. Kroger. Lamont Simpson and P. Bronson. Thank you. And all the rest of you wonderful people. I do appreciate you because you keep the channel going and make a brother feel so good. All right. Let's get down to this review. The episode starts off, I should say, with Richard and Sonny. And y'all know Richard and Sonny, they run the Chinese restaurant. You can get an egg roll, you can get beef and broccoli, and you can get some crack. Or whatever it is they're selling, crack, coke, whatever it is they're selling, you know, because they down with rock and all of them. So, Sonny and Richard are emptying the garbage. It's the end of the night, emptying the garbage. You know, last week we saw where their nephew was trying to steal from some of the supply, and Marvin caught him. So they're emptying the garbage, right? And out of the shadows comes Unique. And, you know, Unique is out for revenge. He thinks everybody's double-crossed him. So he comes out, he's pissed off, and he has Sonny and Richard go inside. And when they go inside, he's like, empty the bag and give me some supply and give me all the money. Now the wife is like, listen, we gave you everything you needed. We gave you, please go. But of course he's not going to keep them alive, you know, so he kills them. Sadly, he kills them. So rest in peace to Sonny and Richard. Now, this opens up a can of worms because now there's this tragedy and they're trying to figure out who knocked them off because they don't know that Unique is still alive, right? So Rock is asking around and, you know, trying to figure out, she has to figure this out because this is not good for business that one of their spots gets taken out. You know, that two people get tragically hurt. And then we see another businessman talking to Rock and he's telling her, you know, I don't want no part. This is getting too much. It's getting too rough, too violent. And she's telling him there was probably some kids, just a little small thing. And he was like, small thing? This was murder. Two people are murdered. But she told the dude, we married, bro. You can't get up out of this at all. You really can't get up out of this. She also speaks to Marvin, and she's telling Marvin, she says to Marvin, you know, I need you to find out who did this, see what's going on. And she's questioning him. And Marvin is automatically thinking, you know what? This is the works of their nephew, because their nephew probably got mad. I caught him stealing from the supply, and he's probably upset in his feelings, and he did this. And so as she's speaking to him, Rock also mentions what was said to her about the feds saying that they watched Stefano and that they saw her leaving Stefano's place, but they also saw Marvin leaving the place. And Marvin's like, nah, they lying. That's ridiculous. It's foolishness. So I'm like, Rock is on to him. I'm believing. But he played it off pretty well. He's like, listen, don't believe that. They don't have anything. They're just trying to, you know, get up under your skin. So I thought all of that was really interesting. Now, see, this whole thing is causing problems. This whole thing of the killing of these two people, Richard and Sonny, because now this makes Quan upset, and Quan is like, "Listen, y'all got to come to some conclusion. Y'all got to figure out what happened." And he's flexing his muscles. Already, he done went up on price on Rock about the drugs, and now he comes to her again like, "I want somebody's head on the platter. Y'all need to find out." She said, look, I got my people out here looking for this, on this, and trying to figure out who it is. I got this. But he's pretty much saying to her, well, you better hurry up and do something. Which is, and at the same time, is really pissing her off because she's like, you know, I'm getting really sick of him. She's getting sick of him, so that's that. We also saw in this episode that Marvin does go to Richard and Sonny's nephew, thinking that he has something to do with it. But then once he explains himself, once he confronts him, the nephew breaks down crying. And the nephew was like, I had nothing to do with that. I didn't even know they were dead. He didn't know they were dead. I wouldn't do anything like that. And now we find out there's a little girl left. And Marvin tells him, listen, well, that little girl's going to need you. But if you find out anything, let me know. And then, speaking of little girls, wasn't it nice that we saw Marvin go and meet his goddaughter? Remember the guy he befriended who had a daughter and he ended up dying? Wasn't it nice that Marvin went to go see the little girl at school, his goddaughter, and he spoke to her? I thought that was really nice, and that was a good playback to one of the older seasons. That was what's his name? Amber, his goddaughter Amber. So I thought that was pretty nice, and I like that little touch there. Also, we see Jukebox home from the army, eating like no tomorrow. At home, even Marvin notices it. Damn, and she's like, she's saying she wasn't fed that well in the army, whatever. But she has an issue because she left the army, and they're going to come there and question her. And lo and behold, as she's having this conversation with her father, in walks two soldiers, and they're speaking to her, and they're telling her, listen, your patriotic duty, blah, blah, blah. They're saying all this stuff to her. And she wants an entry-level separation. And at first, they wasn't going to give it to her, and they were really giving her a hard time until she mentioned, she said, look, I'm gay. She mentioned that she was gay, and she said, now, we could do it this way. She negotiated her way, and if, after some deliberation, they decide, you know what, we're going to grant her this entry-level separation. But now she has this thing where she's deciding she's going to go back to school. And unfortunately, as talented as Jukebox is, she's not pursuing the music anymore. We see her go to college. She runs into an old colleague, and he asks her about the group Butter. She's like, all that is gone. She's trying to find something else to do. So she's majoring in something, and she's trying to find something else to do. And then we also see in this episode her meeting up. But before that, we see her speaking to Kanan and having a conversation with Kanan and pretty much telling Kanan that, the music thing, that was her dream. The dream is dead. She's woke up now. She's not doing that, whatever. Then we see her meet up with her colleagues, some old colleagues, some friends of hers. They tell her, she comes to meet them at some bar, some club, and they're on the same thing. They got all their clothes and this and that, and yeah, we still fly, we doing this, that, and the third. And she's not interested because she's like, I want to do something different. And dealing with them seems like it's going backwards because she's pretty much outgrown them. So then she excuses herself and goes to the bathroom. That's her excuse. She goes to the bathroom. And we later see her go to a gay club, a club with lesbians, and she finds her tribe. And there she meets a young lady. Well, while she's outside standing there looking in, she meets this young lady who then introduces herself and brings her into the club. And so now she's around some of her people. So that was interesting what they did with her. Really, really interesting. Then let's go on down to Lulu and his situation. We see a few things with Lulu. We see Lulu and Rock had a nice moment where Rock went and supported Lulu at his, what do you call those? The two-step programs or the rehabilitation programs where he got to speak and talk about, his addiction and how he was suicidal and all those things. So they kind of bonded. And I like that she's giving him support and helping him, supporting because he's getting back on his feet. He's a music lover. He has that label that he's working on now. He has the new artist, B-Rilla, that he's dealing with. And so things seem to be looking up for him, but he's still dealing with a lot of his pain and issues. Now, speaking of B-Rilla, B-Rilla is at Lulu's house. And sometimes we be having those unwanted guests. It's like, you done outwore your welcome. You told me, Lulu was like, you told me you was going to stay at your cousin's house or whoever's house. Why are you still here? And you messy? So B-Rilla was like, listen, well, what happened was my cousin ended up having children and his girlfriend, and there's no space over there for me. And he said, I don't got nowhere to go and I don't have any money. So Lulu was like, look, we got to work something out because you can't be up in here and you dirty. This ain't going to work. So they go to the record label and they have a meeting with, what's his name, Lavelle Gelfand. And It's not going too well in the beginning because they're trying to get an advance for B Rilla, and B Rilla is going back and forth with Lavelle or whatever about this advance. And apparently this is not the first time that they have bailed B Rilla out, but they're going back and forth with an interesting conversation about him, Lavelle being Jewish, and how his family founded the company and what they had to deal with to get the company going. But B Rilla's not trying to hear any of that, and he don't really care. He's like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. But they do come to a meeting of the minds, and I believe that B Rilla is going to get he's going to get that advance so that he can move out and be on his own. And there's still no word on Famous, because even B Rilla asked, where's Famous? What's going on? And I had asked you all in the last episode, my last review, what was going on with B Rilla. And what we learned here, and we learned this from a conversation, they're thinking either he skipped town, went to LA with his sister. Some are thinking maybe he's a snitch, because that was a conversation between Jukebox and Kanan. Or maybe he's a snitch, maybe this, that, and the third. And maybe he snitched down, he's down somewhere. But then they're like, no, that's not like him. Maybe he's in California with his sister. We don't know yet, but we will find out. You know how this show is. They will unveil something. But right now, he seems to be missing. Also, we see Rock reaching out to her lawyer, Andre, looking for him. She doesn't know that he's dead, and she doesn't know that Unique killed him. So, she's asked, she's like, listen, I need you to answer me. She left a voicemail on his answer machine, but he's no longer with us. But she does not know that. All right. We also have going on here Unique still in the shadows, watching everything. We see Unique watching, I believe that's the mother of his child and his child. And we see all of that. We see him leave some money for her. That was nice. And I'm like, when is he going to let her know that he's still alive? But he also goes, in this episode, he also goes to Kanan's house, and he's lurking around, and Crystal sees him, and he kind of bumped into her, and she's like, hey, you can at least say excuse me. But then when he turned around with those scars on his face, he scared her, and she ran inside. Now this triggered her to tell Kanan, listen, it's scary here. There was some creepy guy roaming around the building. I think you need to move. You should not live where you work. This is a dangerous business. You should not live where you work. And she does have quite the point. And at first, Kanan is resistant. But then he's like, he agrees to go look for apartments with her. Meanwhile, as that's going on, while he's saying that, Rock checks her mail, and she sees that Kanan has not been going to school. So she decides to go over to his apartment and pay him a visit, where she sees Crystal there, and they exchange words at first. And she says, Rock tells Crystal, tell Kanan I came over looking for him. She's like, is that an order or whatever? She said, oh, you living here now? And they have an exchange. So basically, she's like, look, tell my son I came over here, because she wants to speak to him on why he's not going to school. So then we see in this episode Crystal and Kanan apartment hunting, and they come upon a place. Some places they don't like, then they do find a place they like, and they are victims of housing discrimination. And I'm glad Kanan called the dude on it, because as he comes in and he notices they're black, he's like, oh yeah, this is taken already. He said, it wasn't taken when we called and we made the appointment. Now you see our black faces, now it's taken. They called him out on his bigotry and left, which was cool. And that's unfortunately, but that's how things happen. So they leave there, but they do eventually find a place, and this guy wants a credit check and all these things, and money talks. So they're like, listen, how about we give you a little extra? He says, yeah, but I still need a credit check. He said, well, how about we give you another deposit on top of that? So that's the place that they're going to get. So that's a good thing for Kanan, because you shouldn't be working in that place and living in that place, especially the type of business that he does. Also, we know Grandma Joyce is dying from kidney cancer. She has a conversation with Kanan about it. Kanan's like, I think you need to tell your children, your offspring. And so she's calling a family meeting so everyone can come, the family dinner, get together, where she can drop the news of her cancer diagnosis. Okay, that's what she's doing. Now, we also saw in this episode Marvin having a conversation with Early about did he know anything about the Chinese restaurant, the killings that happened in the Chinese restaurant. Of course, Early didn't say anything, but then we see Early have a conversation with Unique, who comes in there and gives him money because he said, this is the money for helping me get on my feet that you were looking for. And Early says to him, where did you get this money from? What is going on? What is it? He said, you killed those 2 people at the Chinese restaurant? And he said, you're playing with fire. And Unique said, I am the fire, or something to that. So very good stuff here. Very, very, very good stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying this episode. And I can always say about this series, it's always so solid. It's always so solid. I always enjoy it. Now, we at Grandma's house. The family is all there. And I did enjoy the conversation outside of Grandma's house between Kanan and his mother, Rock. And she mentioned she confronted him about his attendance. He said, I'm done with school. And he had a good point. She said, well, I thought you were going to go to college. He said, with all the stuff that you have taught me and all the stuff that I've done, do you really think that I'm going to be like a regular dude and go to school, go to college and all this stuff with the life that I'm in and the lifestyle that I'm pretty much following in your footsteps? Do you really think? And he said, sometimes I think you're a little crazy. And she even was like, sometimes she thinks she's crazy. But he did have a point. With all the stuff that I'm doing, you really think I'm going to go to school now? Nah. They get in the house. They're having dinner. And as they're having this dinner, Unique done went over there to Kanan's house, Kanan's apartment, pushed the little dude down, and I guess he's going to rob that joint. So as that's going on, Kanan and his family are around Grandma's house, and Rock is like, they all talking and everything, and Rock is like, Grandma's going around the table talking to people, telling everybody stuff, and Rock was like, what is this about, Grandma? Well, she didn't say Grandma, but she said, Ma, what is this about? And her mother mentioned that she was dying. And it did not go well. It upset Rock. And Rock was like, this is how you pull this together. And what is this? This is BS. And she looks over and she realizes that Kanan knew already. She said, oh, he already knew? And it is a lot of tension. And she was very upset. And she storms off when the rest of the family is there. So that's how this episode went. It was a really good episode, and I know I say this in every review. I cannot wait till next week to see what's going to happen. So tell me your thoughts. I still want to know, where is Famous? Where is he? Where is Famous? That's my big question. Where's Famous? And we just got to wait and see. So that's all I have for now. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you all in the next video.